Hi, so I'm Adrian Andre. I um I was born in El Paso, Texas, and then I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico. I was born into a very traditional Mexican family. My dad is very patriarchal. You know what I'm saying? He has a very traditional Mexican Don uh, patriarchal patriarchal demeanor. You know, he's the patriarch of the family for what it's worth. I was raised in that type of atmosphere. Um, I don't want to get too much into my dad's story and who he is and where he's come from. He's basically a very gregarious Mexican salesman who speaks broken English, who's very, very Mexican. You know, he has very capitalistic ideals. He's also very manly. You know what I'm saying? The guy's a man's man, if you will. And so I pretty much come from that type of family, and my dad is that type of man. And when I was younger, I was kind of like this very flamboyant kid, you know. But for whatever reason, my mom and dad kind of wanted to raise me in that kind of way. Like they wanted me to be this very outgoing, precious little child. It was all special and what have you, or at least that's what I gather. And my dad, I kind of had an intuition or this thought that I was not the same as others when I was very young. When I was very young, um, I kind of thought that I was pretty much gay, like at the age of like 6. You know what I'm saying? I kind of just knew it. I had this intuition that I was just, you know, gay. Like I didn't think I was heterosexual at that age. And then even before or after that, shortly thereafter, me being 6 years old, um, I was kind of told by my brother that I had a lisp that was pretty much the most blatant indicator of being gay. And I remember being really self-conscious about that. And then I remember even being so self-conscious about that that I had to kind of adapt. Like I felt like I had to learn how to not give off those vibes at such a young age. Um, but I kind of learned that it this like kind of environmental thing. It's not like conversion therapy or anything like that. But I kind of learned that I have to act a certain way in order to reassure certain people that my sexual orientation was socially tolerable or socially acceptable. But I knew that at a young age. Like I knew that I knew I was gay or at least queer at a very young age. And then my dad. And then I had friends growing up. I grew up in a relatively poor neighborhood, and I was relatively poor at a very young age. From El Paso to Santa Fe, and I don't. My dad was kind of not there when I was a kid. Like my mom was pregnant with me and my brother, which were twins. She was pregnant with 2 boys. While nursing my sister, who was already like 2 years old at that time, and while she was doing that, um, she was working 2 jobs and going to the community college. So it was really tough for my mother, considering my dad was kind of like this, you know, he was kind of a bastard too. And he wasn't there for a while. And my dad had kind of this reputation of being a partier and not having his obligations or his responsibilities in order. When he was younger, he was a bit of a gambler and an alcoholic. And he also got kicked out of like every single school in Mexico when he was a kid. You know, like in middle school, he got kicked out of every single school in his district or his region because he was a troublemaker, like intentionally troublemaker. He wanted to be like this clown. He wanted to be the class clown of every single school that he went to, and he just really didn't care. And his mother had thought how ridiculous that was. His mother was trying to ingrain into them this like academic sensibility, which he completely rebelled against and still to this day does. Um, you know that you could gain merit and success through academia. So my grandma, his mother, sent him to America to live with his uncle who was in the army. And when he was in the army, not to be in the army, but my uncle was this army man. You know, he was like a veteran, a very strict man, and my grandma wanted to teach him, you know, some manners, if you will, through my uncle or through his uncle. And he still managed to get deported. He could because he got into a fight when he was in California at the school he was attending because these white people decided to call him some derogatory words that referred to being a Mexican at a soccer game, and he decided to shank somebody with a knife. So that happened, you know, and my dad had to become more business savvy and basically learn how to make it through those, you know, through that framework, if you will, of success. Learn how to make it through business and commerce and what have you, and he did. He actually did incredibly well. But he was an alcoholic and he was a gambler, and he pissed most of his earnings away, or his anything that he had managed to achieve that was like a testament to his effort or anything like that. And so that's my dad's past. He was also a womanizer. I mean, my dad's story of how he met my mother was he had a book full of numbers and women, and he would just scroll through them. Like one day he said, "I'm just tired of being a womanizer." I mean, he said this in Spanish though. So he basically said, "I'm tired of having sex with endless amounts of women. I kind of want to settle down." And he told him, this is his story of how he decided to marry my mother. He scrolled down all the numbers that he had and basically just randomly picked one. And then from there, he picked my mother incidentally and decided to marry her. That was his explanation of how he decided to marry my mother. She has a completely different story, and I'm not going to get into it. I mean, I don't even know it that well. But my mom has kind of managed to keep me in this delusional mindset as a child that my dad was kind of a reliable